Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Racist Driving League for Season 19, Round 5 of the season. Welcome to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix here at the Jeddah Corniche Street Circuit. I'm your host, Zach RC, here to take you through all the action of what should be, as always, a fantastic encounter around the streets of this, quite frankly, fast-paced roller coaster of a circuit. One of the longest of the season, one of the fastest street circuits of the all campaign, 27 corners. It's going to be an absolute... It's going to be a ride, let's put it that way, as the first few cars head out on track to get their qualifying runs underway here in Q1. The first driver out being our own commentator from the first round of the season, that being Red J, who was meant to be joining us this week, but a smaller grid means that Red J has been able to step in for a race, taking control of Lance Stroll's Aston Martin. Of course, Stroll performed spectacularly in the British Grand Prix yesterday. So we'll see if Red J can harvest that exact same pace out of the Aston machine. We'll see if we can try and get him towards the points paying place, reserving in place then of Ethan tonight, because Aston Martin sitting tied bottom of the Constructors' Championship this season. Currently as it stands, those guys sitting on 4 points alongside RB, with the Ferraris in 8th place, 1 point in front of them. Of course, Haas lead by 8 points over Williams now in the Constructors' Championship. So we've got a few cars coming out on the circuit here on the far side of the track for their first runs in Q1. Slightly smaller grid in tonight's race at 17 at the minute. We should be expecting another arrival from Ben, I believe, so it works up to 18. So we're losing 2 or 3 cars come the end of this first session of qualifying. So Red J then emerges from turn 27 to begin his first lap. So running on board here, DRS and overtake in play. Starting over that left-hand side, we're going over to the right, but for the first corner, turn 1, of course, very tight braking zone, easy to get this one wrong. Through turns 1, and immediately met by turn 2. So through the S's there to stop the lap off, towards 3. It's a very small kink there at the left-hander, going into turn 4. One of the first proper braking zones on the circuit, very close to the inside barrier. We're going into turn 5. Slightly more sweeping corners here. Again, a long set of S's awaiting you in this early part of the lap, leading to about turn 12, near the end of the first sector. Red J keeping the car under control though. Oh, a bit invalidating just there. So Red J's first lap in terms of time is over. Invalidated going through the exit, or going towards turn 12 rather. So backing off. We'll see if we can try and catch another car in behind. Let's try and carry on where Red J left off. We'll catch up to Imri here, who's invalidated himself. So the next car behind, I think it's the car we missed it. So HB Cook is on its out lap. Matthew is on a timed run, coming to the end of the first sector now. So Matthew through to complete that first sector. So 32.9 start him off in the Red Bull. And going into turn 13 now. Long sweeping left hand at the far side of the circuit before heading back down the other way again. Along the seafront here. And into turn 16, now 17. Oh, it hits the outside wall there. And a loss of end plate on the Red Bull. And that might cost him a little bit over the course of the lap. DRS back in play. There's 3 DRS zones on the circuit. Of course, this DRS zone wasn't in the original circuit. It was originally going from turn 12 to turn 13, but it was placed in from 2022 onwards. Matthew into the last sector now, and heading through turns 25 and now 26. Again, DRS in play for him. Still got a bit of battery to use. Going on to the last straight. There's Imri pulling over to the left-hand side to let his teammate through. Last corner for Matthew then, and on corner exit, storming off of turn 27. DRS about to open now. Battery in full deploy, and Matthew's first time of the night is a 1:29.4. So the first battle lap of the evening, and quickly trumped there by EJ in the Ferrari, 1:29.0. EJ, of course, this with a 1 point so far this season. Good start there though. And Che then going faster still, 1:27.3 for Che, who could find himself as the lone driver to score points for Haas this evening. I believe Dan is with us for tonight's race. But Che with a good start there, starting some years to go on. Of course, has been masterful in qualifying, 2 poles from 4 this season. And looking to try and grab a 3rd in 5. Of course, Imri took pole last week in the end. Failed to convert to a victory over the full 57 lap distance of last week's race. Of course, Che crossed the line, took the checkered flag first, but thanks to that 10-second penalty he got for being on the pit lane, Grumio took full advantage of that, had his own penalty to serve, and served it during his second pit stop and simply rode around within that 10-second gap to manage to get himself the victory for the 4th time this season. So 4 wins from 4 for Grumio, 100 points on the board. Che sits in 2nd place, 37 back on 63. Dan in 3rd on 51, but Imri there breathing down his neck by just 6 points. There's a good chance that Imri could emerge in 3rd place in the World Championship, leaving Jeddah this evening. Red Bull also 3rd place in Constructors, but only by 3 points. McLaren right on their tails there in 4th place, and it's Mercedes in 5th. Pope joining the team last week, of course, 10 points from the 5th place finish, add on to the 12 scored by Aussie in the first 4 races. Aussie has unfortunately stepped away from the league, as we saw last week, and Pope has moved in to take his place. And of course, the big story out of the Kick Sauber camp, of course, Sauber in real life Formula 1 took their first podium in almost 13 years with Nico Hülkenberg yesterday. And there's been a change in lineup over there at Sauber. Ericsson is not in tonight's race from what I've got here, unless we see him joining later on. But he is the driver who's been tipped to replace Obsessed, to of course put an end to his RDL career full time for now with a 6th place finish in Bahrain, so equaling his best finish of his career. So Ericsson stepping back in, but not with us for tonight's Grand Prix, as still Ben making his arrival to the lobby. Of course, Ben yet to score from the first 4 rounds, along with PJ and Cottony. Obviously, this is Ericsson's first race of the season, so yet to score as is. HP Cook, though, they're in P3, the lone Sauber representation tonight's grid. With a 129.131. So no one's been able to read 3 top Grumio as of yet. We've also got another debutant in tonight, and that'll be our new second reserve, Card Carrot 41, who's reserving in place of Landlord tonight. Landlord's position in P5 in the Drivers' Championship, currently safe, but only the lone AT can score points for the team here tonight. So we'll see what the Papaya team have up their sleeves. Of course, Lando Norris took victory in yesterday's British Grand Prix. 6 cars set lap time, still 10 minutes to go, so plenty of time. But no one's close to Che so far. But Grumio could try and change that. Of course, won the first 4 races of the season and has always been strong around here at Jeddah. Of course, taken several victories here in the past as he makes his way into turn 13. Purple first sector, so a good start to the lap from the champion. You see his teammate there, JB, moving out the way. JB has had his own struggles in qualifying so far this season, but managed to put those behind him a few weeks ago with a strong result in Japan qualifying. That was the 3rd race of the season. JB currently sitting in 11th place in the Drivers' Championship, tied with Websy on 6. Websy and Alpine currently in 6th place in the Constructors. 20 points to that team, just 2 points back from Mercedes, so it's all to play for in the mid-pack here as Grumio comes towards the end of his first lap, into the final few corners, towards turn 27 now, into the braking zone. We'll see what sort of time he's got up his sleeve compared to Che. So last corner then, Grumio towards the line, DRS is open, battery in full deploy, running out just on the line and going to 127.6, so 3/10 off Che. Obviously, it may be a while before we start to see some of these guys at full pace, at full beans, which we may not see until later on in Q3 as Che retires, likely set for Q2. Of course, we'll only lose 3 cars here come the end of the session. We'll lose P16, 17 and 18. Those spots currently held on the board by JB, Imri and PJ, but of course a lot of drivers yet set a lap. And speaking of setting laps, Popes comes through in P8 here, and what is his 2nd start since returning to the RDL full-time of the 148.1. I'm pretty sure he's one of the cars who may have backed off when Grumio's coming through. So we'll see what Pope's got this time up his sleeve. Of course, think back here, it's been 8 seasons since his title-winning campaign of Season 11 back on F1 2021. And he's still got that pace in him, there's no doubt about that at all. We'll have to see whether he can try and dab himself a race victory. Of course, hasn't won himself since, I believe, it was midway through Season 17. So he's also running a winning streak, but of course wasn't here for a good deal of Season 18. So we'll see how long it takes Pope to get back to winning ways as he makes his way through turns 16 and 17 through that chicane. Wondrous car control on display here. Of course, Jeddah's one of those circuits where the circuit comes at you thick and fast, and especially with street circuits, you've got to be on your wits at all times. And just try and get as close as you can to those barriers without going over them. As Pope enters the last sector here, saving a bit of battery, overtaking now, going down towards the final corner. And he's got plenty of deploy left in him for the lap. So last corner there. Oh, bit of a slide there through turn 27. He's P12 right now. Will come through to complete Pope's first proper lap on the board here. It's a 1:27.4. So slots himself then into second place just in front of Grumio there. So solid first proper push lap from Pope. Emer up to fourth place now. He's at 1:28.3. Websy P5. So a few cars sort of bridging that gap from Che and Grumio to EJ in P6 now. AT coming through the first sector here. Of course, the only McLaren that can score points tonight. His reserve teammate Card Carrot there in P8, 1:29.2. As he goes into the second sector, he'll keep an eye out. In through 16 and 17, keeping the car nice and controlled. Want to try and avoid brushing the outside wall like we saw Matthew earlier. Matthew's best time 1:29.4, as it was on that first lap that we watched earlier. Into the chicane again, into the final sector on the circuit now, and AT looking for a strong lap. Put himself up the order a bit more. P13 right now, of course, several drivers yet to set lap times. We're looking at 6 of them who are yet to set laps. 4 of those 6 out on circuit, make that 3 now as Ben boxes for RB. No time on the board for him. 18 towards the line now, DRS in play, running out of battery there. But P4 for him, 1:28.1. Slotting himself there in front of Imruz into the pit lane now. Websy in P6 now. Cott and Curtis both on laps here. Curtis towards the last corners. He's one of 3 drivers to have scored 4 points this season. P13 for him in a tie in the standings. Yellow flag behind him. I think that's Pope going slowly. So of no concern. Curtis towards the line. Puts himself 1:28.8. That's enough for P7. So just in front of his teammate there by about 2 tenths or so. And we're also waiting on Cott to come through. Cott in the Alpine. Some value to this first lap. His thing is charging battery back up as much as he can. To try and get himself going for a second run. So Cott then with about 62% of his battery left, going for a second lap. Of course, Alpine haven't particularly had the star factor that we've seen from them in previous seasons. And of course, it's quite a competitive field with a number of strong lineups here this season. Of course, the top 5 teams are very, very strong. So I wouldn't say that Websy and Cott have gotten any slower. Rather, the grid around has gotten a fair bit quicker in terms of combos. And I haven't had much luck so far in these first 2 rounds. So we'll see if the Alpine team can get themselves going again. Oh, round goes Websy! Round goes Cott, sorry. Apologies there, Cott, but did spin out going out of turn 10. And has got himself going again, but must be a frustrating end to what could have been a promising lap. As Cott rounds turn 13. Just the end plate loss on both sides of the wing there for the Alpine. So Cott will come back in. Apologies for the mistake there on driver names. Websy's in the pit lane, P6 still, 1:28.4 his best effort. Alvar on the circuit going towards the lines, complete his first lap. And chasing a solid run with the RB team, P10 for Alvar here. He himself, he's got 4 points this season too. He's one of those 3. I mentioned along with Curtis and Ethan. Ethan, who's not on the grid for tonight's race, being replaced by Reggie in the reserve role. So only a few cars on the track here. Conti Goblin starts his next lap. Sorry, his first lap rather. And I'll tell you what, this first session's flown by. There's 3.5 minutes to go. So whether we get to see any sort of last runs from perhaps the guys in the bottom 8, we'll see what they've got up their sleeves. So at the bottom half of the table, all of whom have got a chance of elimination. PJ Cowler takes a bit of risk there, 1:36.3. He needs to get back out there and set a better lap time, which he is doing. So through the final corner for PJ, we'll see what he's got up his sleeve over the course of his lap. Of course, it's just his points that put Aston Martin on the board for the first season. PJ, sorry, no, apologies. It's Ethan's points on the board. PJ yet to score. Perhaps I could try and break that pointless streak for the former RDL race winner in tonight's race. There's got a Sauber stop to the left there. We hate that. We HB Cook. So we're just missing Ericsson in terms of drivers who haven't got their cars on the grid at all. We're just missing one Haas and missing one Sauber. So those cars have normally been piloted by Dan and Ericsson. So Che and Pope set for Q2. So Grumio definitely going through as well. AT and Imrie looking good. Those guys in the 128. So Kurtz could be in trouble if should everyone start improving. With 2 minutes to go, start to see a few more cars come onto the circuit. As I say, many of those drivers who are in the bottom half. See JB out there, 129.5 his best lap so far. I'd say you want at least a 129 minimum to get yourself into Q2, have a shot at Q2. We'll see if that changes. We'll see if there's any improvements down the order. Courtney Goblin P14 there, 130.7 on his lap. Red J currently the last car going through. As PJ comes towards the line to complete his lap, it's a 129.1, but it's P11 there. So I'll move Red J out now. The bottom three all on laps here. Ben starting his final lap. And Cott coming through the end of the second sector now. And into the final sector. Plenty of time. Oh, we've got a yellow flag. And that is for... I think it's for PJ. PJ who has stopped. Curtis retires. I think he should likely be safe there in Q2. Matthew retiring as well. That could potentially be a false move. Should the guys below him all improve? Emi retires, safe in Q2. P5 from Websy retiring 2. P6. 50 seconds left. And Cott coming through to start his last lap. Red J needs to get to the line. He's got 30 seconds to make it, should be okay. Alvar retiring as well. Alvar there in P10 should be okay. JB starting his last lap. Cotty Goblin towards the line. And going on one more run. He is the last car in the cut-off as it stands right now. I think if Cott gets a lap in, that could be trouble for him. And Ben needs something good here. 1 minute 2.3 in his second sector. He'll be the next one to come to the line here. So checker flag falling in 10 seconds. PJ's in P11, the next car through. Then it's EJ. And next big Cook's just throwing a yellow flag down there. And he may have backed off a little bit. That might be the end of his run. He's invalidated, so but he's all good in Q2. Ben's P15, knocking Cotney Goblin out, but Cotney is a 10th, almost 2 tenths up in the first sector. Checker flag is out. 32.1 in his first sector. 1 minute 0.3 in his second sector. And I think we're likely to see Cott towards the top of the order here, as we normally would do, as he gets himself and gets his qualifying session on track. HB Cook and Card Carrot coming through the last few corners here. Both cars safe as Cook backs off. Card Carrot towards the line. Cott though charging through. He's got to get himself into the top 15 at least. Cott flies to the top there. 1 minute 27.2. Fantastic lap. JB into the pit lane. He's in P15 right now. Ben is out. Cotney Goblin not improving enough here, but Red J invalidated. So I think I'll do it then for quali, unless Cotney gets a big last sector to push JB out towards the line. Won't improve enough. Cotney's out, Ben's out, and Red J obviously out of practice or qualify last. So JB then squeezes into Q2. Matthew is there in front of him, P14. But exciting first qualifying session there. Cott then, after a struggle, spinning out on his first proper run, storms to the top of the chart there. 1 minute 27.2 his first time. Then it's Che in second, Pope third, Grumio fourth, AT fifth, Imrie, Websy, Card Carrot there in P8. Fantastic lap from the reserve. EJ in P9 and Curtis rounds at your top 10. Then it's HB Cook, Alvar, PJ, Matthew and JB all going through. Ben, Cotney Goblin and Red J all at least 3 seconds off the pace going out in Q1, and they will take up your bottom 3 slots in the starting order. So that'll do it then for Q1. Now we're back to Q2 in a second. So getting set now then for Q2. We've whittled the grid down from 18 to 15. And perhaps the most competitive part of the evening, who has got the speed to get themselves into that top 10 shootout, being Q3. So just waiting here for the first few cars to emerge onto the racetrack. I'd say qualifying wise, it's still honestly anyone's game for this season. Of course, Che has got the most poles. There's only been 3 pole sitters all season because Che managed to nab the first 2 to my mind, if I double check my notes from the season. Sorry, no, apologies. Che with 3 poles this season and Imrie with the 1. So Che managed to take pole in... Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Che took pole in Australia, Bahrain, Japan and China. Imrie got pole last week in Bahrain, so snapped Che's streak. And obviously Grumio still searching for his first pole of the campaign, which is definitely an odd thing to be saying about a driver who's managed to win the first 4 races of the season with a currently insurmountable lead, so he'll remain the championship leader regardless of what happens in tonight's race. Of course, the most Che can do is bring that gap down to 12 points with the win and a Grumio no score. But he's been dominant this season so far. And whether anyone's got the speed to challenge him remains to be seen. I mean, we've seen drivers come close, but in terms of closing the deal off, Grumio's just been there throughout so far. So we'll see what he's got. But obviously, he wasn't as quick, perhaps, as we said before, in Q1. Which is, of course, as we may notice, a formality for a fair few of these guys who are usually up front. So we see him retire so often, so early on. But the first cars obviously making it out. Almost the entire pack's out there right now. All but 3 cars on the racetrack as Imrie is the first one through. So we'll see what Imrie's got up his sleeve here. What sort of lap has Imrie got in him for his first run in Q2? Wasn't overly satisfied with his pace in Q1, despite being up there in the top 5. Has a lot of work to do to get himself closer. He's trying to replicate that pole from last week, and of course, as we've mentioned countless times already this season, Imrie still hunting that first victory since back in season 16 on F1 23. So waiting for a little while here as Imrie. Of course, we are 3 weeks away here from Monaco, which will serve as round 8, our second 100% race of the season. More towards the end of July, start of August sort of time. But I can tell you now, that is the one he's got pinpointed on his calendar as one that he feels he has to win at some stage. Of course, that race eluded him, and he came awfully close to victory here a few seasons ago. He was in the lead until a late safety car triggered a proper chaotic restart, which unfortunately snatched the win from him. So we'll see what he's got in the tank this season, and thinking more close to now this lap as he rounds turn 27. And Ryden Baldwin down the main straight here. DRS is about to go into play again. Plenty of deploy for the rest of the lap, and charging towards the line. We'll see what sort of time he puts in. It's a 27.6. 27.2 was the best lap we saw in Q1, being set by Cott. Cott turns out lap. PJ goes second, 129.8. Next car through Matthew, who of course was fairly down on pace in Q1. Only managed to cross the line P14 with a 129. We'll see what he's got this time around, 128.9. So a bit quicker than he was in Q1, which is to be expected. Can he get himself another Q3 appearance? I have to wait and see. Red Bull then, 57 points this season. 45 of those courtesy of Imrie and 12 courtesy of Matthew. Of course, Matthew's been in the RDL for a fair bit less time, so obviously still getting to grips with things. And of course, still hunting that first podium as well. He came close a few times last season, but wasn't able to close the deal off. So we'll see, hopefully this season, if he's got enough to try and seal that for himself. Chains P2, 127.65. Everyone but AT now on the circuit. AT's pitting. And JB starting his first lap of the session. Of course, he was P15, last car to go through in Q1. For those of you just joining us, we lost Cottony, Ben, and reserving Red J in Q1. No Dan and no Ericsson with us here tonight. But JB there. Oh, wide there, going through turn 8 on that corner exit. And this may be about... No, he's kept it within track limits somehow in terms of the game. So he's no invalid lap there. 34.2 his first sector. Hasteby Cook in P4 there. Fantastic lap for the Sauber driver. 1 minute 28.613. Puts him 3/10 clear of Matthew. And obviously one of the 10 cars going through as it stands. But still 10 minutes to go. So the things could change drastically. As Cott perhaps get a teammate toe there off of Websy, who's in P3 right now. And Cott, who set the fastest time on the same sort of pace in Q1, could be looking at perhaps a 126 here. Should he really nail this last sector as he goes down towards turn 27. Last corner. But used all his deploy, so no ERS for him in use down the main straight. Towards the line, it's a 128.003. I think the lack of ERS in the last sector may have cost him a bit there because you saw he got a fantastic toe off of Websy, but it's enough right now to get both cars into Q3, which is the more important thing as it stands right now. Save the fastest runs for Q3, of course. But Cott there in third place. Now, yellow flag for Hasteby Cook going slow in the final sector. And the same thing, I believe, for Grumio. Yes. Grumio P10 here. 129.4. So not a fantastic lap, but he's got plenty of time to try and get it back. And I should imagine he does get it back. I have to wait and see should there be any concern. Because we obviously, based on Q1, we know he's got the pace. How long have I been muted for? I don't remember pressing that button. Apologies for that. I hope it wasn't long, but I've got no recollection of actually pressing the button to mute myself. But we'll carry on then. Pope in P1, 127.2. That's quite gutting. Imrie there on looking at a set of medium tyres in the garage. I'm not quite sure what the game plan is there. Down at Red Bull. Matthew on the other side of the garage currently in P9. So one of the last few cars going through. You need a 128 minimum now to get yourself into Q3 as EJ runs in P10 in that exact scenario. 128.987 his best lap. And there's 3.5 minutes left. Imrie on medium tyres. And it looks as though we may see Imrie saving a set then for Q3. He's gone one extra push lap. As he goes way wide there, hits the that demon curb that sat in between turns 8 and 9 that we could really do without, in fairness. AT retires there, P4 for him, whether he's trying to do the same thing. Pope retiring too, but obviously safe in Q3 without a doubt. So improvements there for Curtis. Puts himself into P6 now. That'll knock his teammate EJ out. Grumio's still there in P12, but it's the second half up. So I think we're looking at a big improvement here. And this could be perhaps a 26, maybe. Still hunting that first 26 of the evening as Grumio runs towards the line here. 27 for him. Only at P2 here. Improved by 2 seconds, but needs more to get himself on top to try and match Pope. I think Imrie knows he's safe and is going for that run on medium tyres. Not long to go now. Just under 2 minutes left. Cott retiring, P6 from right now. So we're kind of feel like EJ's P7 there. So both of these Ferraris are looking quite strong. And really starting to turn their season around, I think, with these qualifying performances. Whether they have to convert to put some more points in the race, only 5 points to them so far this season. Just have to wait and see. Less than a minute to go. And still anyone's guess here. Everyone's on laps, save for Websy and Alvar coming through to start their last laps. Websy, does he have enough time to get round? I think he may. I think he should make it. It's going to be a bit close. Alvar there in P11, currently the last car out. Only needs a few hundredths to get himself into Q3. And that'll do wonders for RB, given the season they've had so far. Of course, Alvar's got more points. I'm sure he's got 4 points. I'm sure he'd love to add to that. Imrie on that medium tyre run improved by 3/10 in the end to go into second place, just in front of Grumio. But only 9 thousandths off of Pope. As PJ retires, PJ calling it quits, then he's the first car out of qualifying. Second flag about to fall as Websy has made it round. HP got up to P8 there. And Matthews P7. Grumio, second flag for him as well. Next car to the line will be EJ. I believe he's finished his lap. Yes, he has. So he's coming in this time. He's in P8 right now. Next car through is Curtis, and there's invalidated. So Curtis at risk. And Card Carrot down on his last effort. 6.8 seconds down. So we're not looking at improving for our reserve. Card Carrot on debut out of qualifying. JB also looking like he's out here. Webbsy's in P11 now. So down the order a bit. Just needs the one spot. Needs about a 10th or so to get himself into Q3. JB retiring. So second car out. Card Carrot in the pit lane. He is out. Alvar across the line. He is out. But Will it be Websy or Curtis? Curtis reaches the line here. He's got invalidated lap time. That could cost him a bit. Websy's improved by 4/10. I think it's safe to say that Curtis could be going out short of any late Websy error. HB Cook set to go through. EJ going through. Matthew, Cott, AT, Che, Grumio, Imri, Pope. HB Cook as well. So 9 cars are set for Q3. Who'll be the 10th? It's looking at Websy. Websy final corner. And DRS in play. Battery towards the line. Uses his deploy there. And that'll do. Websy gets a 127.9. And Websy into P6. And that will knock Curtis out of qualifying. P11 for him. He joins Alvar, PJ, Carrot, and JB in the bottom 5. So Pope tops Q2. Imri on a medium tyre run. 9,000s back. Grumio in 3rd place then. Top 3 covered by less than a 10th. It's going to be a close Q3 as it always is in Jeddah. JP4, ATP5, Websy P6. Of course tops Q1 in 7th there. 7/10 off the pace. Matthew P8, EJ 9th, and HB Cook's your last car going through. As a reminder, Curtis, Alvar, PJ, Carrot, and JB all out. They will not reach the top 10 shootouts. That is Q2. I'll be back in a second for Q3. Here we go then. This is where things get very, very tasty indeed. The final session of qualifying. Q3, 12 minutes to gets pole position. Can Che add to his already growing tally of 3 poles this season? Can Imri get a second? We'll see a new pole sitter, a new face leading the field to turn 1. I have to wait and see. But the first few cars heading out here. There is Pope, who looks strong in Q2. Topped the second session and looking for his first pole in just his 2nd race back. So first few cars then heading out. So Pope then allowing one of the Red Bulls through with Imri there as always leading the train. 4 cars who stayed in the pit lane. So we'll see them what first times look like. Remember Imri went with that medium tyre lap in Q3, so he has a fresh set of soft tyres saved. To my mind, whether we could see Imri take pole number 2 in 2 races, we'll have to see. But it comes through, starts first up now. Of course, he's been there and thereabouts, up in the top 5 throughout Q1 and Q2, or 2nd place in Q2 by just 9 thousandths to Pope. A 10th covered Pope, Imri, and Grumio at the end of the session, and that was just Q2, so we'll see who gets involved properly during Q3. First sector nearing completion here. Imri right on the right edge of control and invalidates there, and that will cost him. Oh, Pope take over for a spin there, and again that corner catching out another driver on exit between that complex of turns 10, 11 and 12. Pope gets himself going again. Gets himself moving. Whether that scuffed his tyres, so I'll have to wait and see. Che here, going through sector 2 now, right behind him. And Imri's still going for it though. Down towards the last corners here. Obviously backed up a little bit. Whether we see him come back in, it'll be a good thing he saved that fresh set. But we're looking for the first time to be set by Matthew, who comes up towards the line. Imri would have set 133.2 there. Obviously backed up a bit. Matthew 129.1. AT faster 127.8. AT is there tonight so far. As Grumio starts his first lap. Che coming in behind to complete his lap. 127.2 from Che. So good start then from the Haas driver, looking for pole number 4 from 5. Both Alpines in this session. HB cooking to 3rd place there. Sauber looking for a good quality result here. So 5 cars, Z times. Webby starting his next one. Cott going into sector 2 now, 31.9 in this first sector. So obviously topped Q1, that lap at the very end of the session. Grumio validating there. EJ currently there, going to the last corner. Imri also in the last corner now, I think pushing on this lap. EJ last corner now. And up toward the line. EJ goes into P3. 128.3 on the board for EJ, but can Imri get himself back on top here with a 27, 127.5, and that's on a second lap, which is tough to do. Imri there slots in second place behind Che, so the 2 pole sitters this season currently on top. Grumio invalidated there, but we'll go again for his second lap on this run. Cott in 127.0, big lap there from Cott. Looking for his first pole of the season. 80 down to 4th there, EJ. Then Pope now P6. 128.6 on the board for Pope. A long way off pace. Websy into the last corner. You see HB going straight on the Sauber there, letting Websy go in turn 27. Websy up towards the line. What can he do from where he is? Uses deploy. It's a 128.0 now for P5. AT's sending to a second set of soft tyres in the pit lane, going for at least one more run. So Cott then on provisional pole. Grumio going again on his fresh set of tyres. So apologies, not fresh. First set. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Up towards the end of the second sector. This could be a 59 potentially. It's a 1 minute 0.2. That's a good lap so far. On the limit, you can see the car really trying to get out from underneath him. He's fighting for control in that thing, but keeping it well in check as he rounds turn 26, heads towards 27 to complete the lap. Blasting towards the line. This could be a 26 from here. It's a 127.2. Yet see a 26 tonight. Cott's come the closest, but Grumio slots in second place. We've seen Cott and Grumio on the front row before. It's always an entertaining scrap between these two to the first corner. It's a short run to turn 1 at the circuit as Imri rounds turn 27 himself, pitting this time I assume to bolt on another set of soft tyres and go for another run. What does Imri have up his sleeve? Anyone on a push lap? Pope coming in. Websy, I think, also coming in. And Dan now joining us late. So up now to 19 cars. Dan will join us for the Grand Prix. Of course, Dan coming off of a tough one last week where he was asked to retire the car due to lag, but carried on. I think didn't see the message over the course of the evening, so was disqualified post race. He sits in third place then in the championship, currently on 51 points. And now Mick Imri's task trying to take P3 the standings a bit harder. Down now in the race, and of course the circuit he's done well at in the past. Was solid here last season in the Ferrari. As Grumio rounds the last corner, only car on the circuit, and pitting. As I say, that EJ emerges what could be his last run. So just waiting here for the last cars to emerge onto the racetrack, or for the next few cars to emerge onto the racetrack for what will be final laps. And this will be where everything gets laid bare, and we'll see who's got the pace for it on one lap. Only 3 cars, about to make that 4 on the circuit. I think Chase coming out. Here he goes. 3 minutes to go, so still a bit of time for drivers to emerge. But Che looking to get in there early on. Who will be next to come out? EJ is out lap. No one on a timed run right now, but EJ will be the next one to come through. EJ starting as what will likely be his last lap. You see Cott emerging there. Current pole sitter by about a quarter of a second. It's going to be very tight to end this thing. Grumio coming out, and every car is on the racetrack now. As Pope let TJ go. A minute 40 left to go in this thing, so time for everyone to get round and have a run. I think EJ looking for his lap now, trying to avoid any sort of traffic. So Cott from Grumio and Che, your top 3. Imri is in 4th, that's AT in 5th, Websy 6th, EJ 7th right now, Pope 8th, HP Cook 9th, and Matthew 10th. That is your order. Keep an eye on that order, and we'll see how much it changes come the end of this part of the session, the end of Q3. EJ, the last corner, a minute to go. Still 6 cars on out laps to try and get themselves up towards the line quickly. Got to hustle it round. 128.1 for EJ. Improved his time but stays in 7th place. Matthew starts his last lap. Here comes Cott. Imri's in P4. He's coming through to start his last one too. And AT getting a tow from Grumio here. Going down towards turn 27. And Grumio's going to get his head in the game now because he's got a lap himself to do. And still looking for that first pole of the campaign. AT toward the line. Improving by a fair bit here. AT but improves by about almost 2/10 but stays P5. Margins are close. Up front. Final 10 seconds. Everyone's on the lap here. Grumio will be the last one through. Che is the next car to the line. Che is a quarter of a second up. As it stands right now, he's a bit more in this last sector, and that'll be enough to try and wrangle pole position from Cott. Yellow flag. It pokes backed off in the first sector. Che goes fastest. 1:26.7. Big improvements there in sector 3. Sector 3 will be crucial for ERS management. Pope has gone off. Retiring here, it'll be P8 at best. Frustrating into qualifying for the Mercedes driver. Next car to the line is HB Cook. HB Cook not improving. So he'll pit in. P9 for HB Cook. Matthew next through. He's got Cott and Imri in behind him. Cott is a quarter of a second up. Imri is half a second up. So we're looking at big gains from both those 2 cars here. Imri is 1:27.5 as is, so we're looking at a higher 26s. Matthew goes to P6. Cott to the line. Cott gets pole back. What can Imri do? Imri towards the line. Imri goes third fastest there. 126.8 for Imri. AT now working to give Grumio a tow. EJ coming into the pit lane. Webbs is invalidated. It's just these two cars now to come through. AT backs off. AT cannot improve. Contact! Did that impact Grumio too much? That could have been so costly as Grumio comes towards the line. It's going to be pole for him here. Grumio doesn't improve in the end. He improves, but not enough. And Cot then will take pole position for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Did that contact pay any impact to Grumio's time? Websy pitting in, and that'll do it then for qualifying. Cot goes fastest. So first pole of the season then for Alpine, and first for Cot. He will lead the field to the first corner then. Third pole sitter of the season. Grumio's wait for pole carries on. Here's your full top 10. So Cot and Che, an unusual pairing there, but separated by 15 thousandths. They'll lead the race to turn 1. Grumio in third place, and it's Imri in fourth. AT runs it on top 5. Matthew to P6, then it's Websy, EJ, Pope. Frustrating again for Pope. And HB Cook rounds it on top 10. So that was qualifying then for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We will be back with you in a few minutes' time to start the race. So here we go then. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix set to get underway in a matter of minutes here. And a very, very exciting race in prospect. Pope was there in P8. Cot is on pole. But Pope could be a factor of the course with a number of other cars. I made a mistake there, but Pope was playing there is the circuit. Oh, I am not muting my stream on the other end. Apologies for that. And here is a look at the circuit. So let's say 27 corners. The longest and fastest street circuit of the season here. And one of the toughest to win at. It's a challenge to the very least. Grumio won this race last season. He's taken victory several times here before. 25 laps. And the encounter in prospect. The number of cars perhaps out of order on the grid. But the top 5 or so were very condensed over the course of all 3 qualifying sessions as a whole. So we're looking here what could be a very enjoyable race from our perspective. Of course, if this is your first time, then welcome along to an RDL stream. I hope you guys are enjoying things so far. I say make sure to get yourself subscribed for more future RDL races over the course of the campaign. Still 19 rounds to come this season, so plenty of time over the coming months for this championship to continue on. But someone needs to stop Grumio here. He's 100 points on the board for him. 37 clear of Che in second place. He's won the first 4 races, but I'd say if there's a circuit where he could be stopped, it's this one. Despite his excellent track record of this track in the past, I think this could be a circuit that could throw up anyone to really have a chance to win it. But in terms of who that'll be, that's anyone's guess over 25 laps around the Jeddah Corniche. So the formation that gets underway, then we'll have a look at your starting grid for this Grand Prix. It is Daniel Aron starting from P19. Didn't join us for qualifying, so we'll start from dead last in the Haas against giving him the right car, fortunately. Didn't give him the salvo, which is good. Red J reserving tonight's race, starts from P18. Hopefully I'm back in the cons box next week, should we not need any more reserves. Cotney in P17 there, starts from the hard tyre. One of the 2 hard tyre starts, everyone else is on mediums. Ben in P16. Still looking for his first points of the season for RB. JB P15 got himself into Q2, but frustration towards the end left him sitting high and dry. Carl Carrot makes his RDL debut as a reserve here for McLaren, replacing Landlord in tonight's race. He rolls off from P14. PJ in P13, again like Ben, hunting his first points of the season for Aston Martin. Aston Martin got 4 this season, courtesy of his teammate Ethan. Alvar in P12, looking for a strong result for RB to get themselves off the bottom of the table with Aston Martin. Curtis in P11. These Ferraris have flipped the switch in recent weeks, but can they pull it off in the Grand Prix? Can Curtis get some more points on the board to add to Ferrari's tally? HB Cook lands up in the top 10. Sauber looking for a strong result, as HB Cook now leads the line for that team in tonight's race. Pope in P9 was strong and topped Q2, but didn't have the speed in Q3 and made a mistake on his final run, so lines up P9. EJ in P8 looking for his second point of the season, and going to get himself back to scoring points on a consistent basis, or at least contending for points. Websy P7, currently in 12th place in the championship on 6 points from 4 races, and looking for a big improvement here. Matthew P6 up the order this time in qualifying, with a good chance to try and get himself some more points to help Red Bull in the constructors. AT P5, the lone McLaren to score points in tonight's race, so they're relying on him and Papaya. Emery starts from 4th place, pole last week, P4 this week, but was strong in qualifying and has pace. So keep an eye on him over the Grand Prix. Grumio lands up in P3. He still gets to take pole, but won all 4 races in. This could be win number 5 for him. Can he win 5 Grand Prix in a row? Che lands up P2. 3 poles this season, hunting his first victory. And Cotto takes his first pole of season 19 here on the front row, rolling off from P1 and lining up at the front of the grid. So medium tyres then for everyone except for Cotney and Dan. So both those two will be looking for a longer first stint, mainly a one-stop in play, around sort of laps 12-13, depending on what tyre you're on, as the last few cars line up here. Dan and Red J, the last two, as Dan really pushes it going into his fifth slot. Carl Carrot missed his grid box, but everyone else all okay. Everyone lines up safe, and the race sets get underway here in Jeddah. Cot from Che as the lights come on here in Saudi Arabia for round 5 of the season. Lights up, foot to the floor. Go, go, go racing at Jeddah. Good start from Che there on the left-hand side. Easily getting in front of Cot. He's had a poor gateway there. 2 places down for Cot at the first corner. Contact from the back of the car around in the mid-pack. Everyone seems all okay. Damage. End plates are being thrown around there. Red J's got damage. Number of cars who have all got some sort of altercation there from turns 1 and 2. But Che leads the way then. Grumio into second. Imri now third. And Cot down to 4th. Not a great start. Yellow flag. And that is Dan. And that is a number of cars having concerns. It's a big kerfuffle in the mid-pack here. Yellow flag, and that is Cotney Goblins. Not sure he said something go wrong. PJ down the order. Carl Carrot down the order. End plate damage for him there. Websy out of the top 10. End plate loss for him too. And chaos on the race start. The pit lane should get very busy indeed here. As there goes HB Cook off the circuit. He's got a puncture on the car. And off he goes into the barrier. And a top 10 in qualifying for HB Cook. Now leads to retirement early on. And I think that's a virtual safety car has been deployed. A chaotic start here. Websy with damage. Carl Carrot with damage. PJ with damage. Red J. Cotney Goblin's got some. Alvar as well. Dan's got a piece, I think. Dan might be okay. Ben looks all good. Everyone from there up front is okay. But a very, very chaotic start there. And HB Cook ends up with the worst of it. So the VSC out then, here on the opening lap. So Che leads the first lap. Fantastic start then from the Haas drive. Was it so much a fantastic start for Che or a poor start for Cot, who's in the recent times managed to get pole? Has not really been able to pull away too much in the opening stages, but the green flags are back out and we're back to racing once again. And DRS will be in play on the back straight going down towards turn 22. But into turn 4 now, it's Che from Grumio, Imri and Cot. That's your train there. It's a second back to 18, P5. Matthew, P6. Pope up 2 places. Then EJ, P8. JB in the points now in P9. And Ben finds himself in the top 10. Alvar, Websy, Curtis, Reggie, all pitting here. Everyone else staying on as they are. Card Carrot then stays out. PJ, no damage for him. Cotley Goblin has no damage, so everyone else is all okay from there. And Dan then a fantastic start from P19 then, taking full advantage to now wind up in the 11th position. He's 8 places up. And Websy down 11 for making his first stop of the Grand Prix. He's down to P18, the last of the running cars here. And DRS now in play for Grumio as he runs up towards turn 22. Imrie closing in as well though. And this top 4 I think will be the ones to keep an eye out for in terms of the race victory. 4 drivers from 4 teams, all with a big chance to try and nab victory today at a circuit such as this one where a DRS train is so pivotal to staying with the pack and mastering Jeddah. Imrie challenging for the outside. Grumio defends underneath. Imrie trying it. Are on the high groove. Can't do it. Has that impacted his exit? Not too much though. Cop won't get a chance at him as a result. Or rather, Imrie might try and go again here on Grumio, who himself might take a chance at Che for the race lead. Go down towards turn 1. Grumio can't do it. Che keeps himself in P1. But Imrie trying to the inside for a second there. Was running off the track. Sliding through turn 2. And now Cot takes advantage and draws alongside Imrie going up towards turn 4. These 2 drivers yet to win in a fair few seasons here. Both of them with a good chance today if they can try and get around Che and Grumio, who are pulling away a little bit here. There's your position changes. So Dan, the biggest gainer, 8 places up. Websy, the biggest dropper, 10 places down. There's your start. There's your tyres. Hard tyres, everyone who's stopped so far. Curtis, Alvar, Websy and Reggie. But the medium tyre runners all in the top 10 there, as well as PJ P12 and Card Carrot P14. So just those 4 yet to stop. So continuing as we are here. AT trying to stay with the train. Actually closing in a bit on Cot in P4. Matthew behind them. So that's bringing the top 7 close together. Pope is at the end of this train. Currently chasing Matthew for 6th. EJ 1.2 seconds back. So in the world of his own right now. You can see the leaders in his sights. Not DRS for him though. And JB currently 6 seconds back from the Ferrari. So EJ with a good shot is trying to get himself some good points today for Ferrari. Especially with Curtis now down the order. As Pope challenges Matthew on the outside there, going into turn 27. Around the outside of the last corner. Pope gets the better drive off. Gets DRS2 down this main straight towards turn 1 again. And Pope takes over P6 and will start working on AT and P5. Up front though, Imrie thought for a move for a second there on Grumio, but not close enough. JB sort of building his own pack here. Ben 2.7 behind him, no threat. Dan P11 who closing the gap quickly to Ben, only 1.2 seconds back. PJ P12, Cotley Goblin P13, Card Carrot in P14. Yellow flag as EJ's out. And there's been a crash at turn 4. And I think he just made a clip that inside barrier at turn 4. VSC deployed once again. Whether we'll get a full safety car, not too sure. But 2 retirees then in the first 4 laps. And we didn't catch it on camera. But EJ then, he went off in a straight line out of turn 4 into that runoff area for turn 5. I think it's quite easy to assume what happened there. But turn 4 is a tough one to get right at the best of times. So the field then neutralised for a second as Che still leads Grumio. I think the driver's taking a moment to breathe and the green flag to come back out. Dan 1.7 behind Ben then, lost a bit of time under that VSC, but now the points paying place now. It's just 3.5 laps completed here. So I'm sure Dan not feeling too bad about how things have proceeded so far. Lucky to avoid damage, I'd say, in the early stage, because he was right at the back. Caught on Imrie's tail. Imrie simultaneously closing on Grumio, who's also working on Che, but not really getting anywhere right now. Che is advancing his lead a little bit. And there goes Pope challenging on AT into the final corner. Can't do it. And AT get left with a bit of room there on the outside looking into the last corner, but didn't have to think about it too much. But now he's got to think about a car coming at him as Pope makes his move. And up front, I think we've seen a potential change for position. Not as of yet, but Pope side by side with AT into turns 1 and 2. And on corner exit, Pope still there, edging in front of AT. And Pope into 5th place then. 5th place from last week. He's looking for another 10 points for him to add to his tally. He's in 9th place now after just 1 race this season. And the points so far this season haven't been too well distributed. We've seen a lot of drivers with low point scores for this season, but the same sort of guys running in the top 5 week on week. Of course, Cot looking for some good points. Only 14 from 4 rounds. As it stands right now, it's taking us up to 26 in its tally. Further back here, we're seeing Ben having the gap closed behind him by Dan, running towards turn 13 again. And Dan making his way through here, trying the outside on corner exit. Can't get a good enough run on Ben's challenge properly. He's right on the Albie's tail there. And that Racing Bull has got a lot of challenge to keep Dan at bay. We'll switch back to that later in just a moment. Everything seems all okay up front as Cott challenges Imri now for third place on the outside, going towards 27. Grumio is still there in P2, but hasn't really got much of a chance to close on Che. Is Cott and Imri. Oh, around goes Cott! And catches Imri unawares. Number of cars there all together. And AT gets a shunt as well. And 5 laps in 3 instances, things go spiraling out of control for Che there. Yellow flag is out. AT caught damage. Cott's carrying on. AT's caught up in that mess, unfortunately, as Dan now around Ben by quite a margin. AT has to change that wing then, and he is away. Will be out of the points now, down to what will look like, I'd say P13 when he leaves the pits, unless Curtis can catch him, which I don't think he will. And Card Carrot is the first penalty of the evening, 3 seconds, multiple warnings. Of course, Jeddah, one of those street circuits where the runoffs are wide and track limits penalties are easy to get. So all this leaves then Che and Grumio out front, as we've seen many times before in the past, especially over the course of F1 24. Pope and Imri in P3 and P4 together, Matthew in P5, now Cott in P6. He's got JB now right behind him on his tail in P7. And it's Dan up to 8th. So Dan has really benefited here from a number of driver struggles so far in this race. And he is in DRS range of JB too, who himself is in DRS range of Cott, so still closing that gap. Grumio close to Che now with no real threat from behind. We might see him seek a chance at the race lead out of turn 27, now down the main straight again. And now here he goes making his move. Grumio takes the lead for the first time today, going on to lap 7. For the back here, it's a 3-car train from P6 to P8. It's Cott now leading to Dan and JB, as I lose my train of thought for a second there, going through turn 27. Imri pitting. And a wing change then in order. He lost an end plate. I think he might have tried to carry on with it, Imri, but not to be, unfortunately. He'll carry on then. Hard tyres going on. How long can he take those tyres? I should think they'll be able to get those to the end of the race. Because there's less than 20 laps to go. We know the hard tyres can go for around sort of 18 to 20 laps in good conditions. So Imri then emerging back on the circuit in P12 here. His stop has been made. Getting just in front of AT there. So more or less back where he was in terms of a net position when everyone else makes their stops up front. But more close to where he was when before the Cott spin happened. I'm not entirely sure if there was contact there to initiate the spin. I'm not sure Cott lost it by himself. Yeah, that may be a question for the interviews later on in the stream. But Cott now in P7. JB's got around him here. So whether Cott's perhaps nursing some kind of damage, perhaps floor damage, not entirely sure. We'll see later on exactly what the issue is on Cott's car. Or if there is any issue, whether JB's got around on raw pace. But JB is doing a fantastic job here. Of course, P15 in qualifying, up to P6 in the Grand Prix right now. Of course, only 7 laps in, still a long way to go. But clean driving gets you a long way in racing, without a shadow of a doubt. Grumio still leads then on lap 8 of this thing as AT and Card Carrot going to battle. Card Carrot falling away here from his teammate. Imri now making the pass. Cotty Goblin for P10. Imri back in the points paying places for now. It's another 7 seconds to Ben in P9. Both RB drivers were in the points. Of course, Alvaro made his stop. Alvaro on the tail of Curtis. So those 4 cars for the back struggling here. Red J off the pace. Cott passing PJ Khaled here going through turns 4 and 5. Ben up to P9 as I say. Imri in P10. Imri's closing that gap faster. That gap's down to 5.7 seconds. AT passing Cotton Goblin. Turn 4 becoming a bit of a passing opportunity for a number of cars here today. And speaking of making opportunities, Grumio is making it the best of his situation here, putting a second and a half on Che. He's got so much pace in this game. It's unbelievable. Pope in third place here. I'm sure he'll be chuffed for the podium on his return on his second race back. It'll take him to around around P6 in the championship, depending on where AT finishes. AT on 17 points this season. Ben gets a penalty, which might cost him potentially later on in terms of his fight for points. He's closing the gap to PJ though. I think he's closing the gap. Whether it's sort of stagnated here, not too sure. So we'll see. The lap or two is actually PJ pulling away here. 1.7 seconds the gap. No damage on that RB, at least in terms of visual damage. Imrie now passing Cott. So those two going back to battle again. And Cott really struggling here. But choosing to brave it out. Sliding there. I imagine that slide he made earlier on when he spun out will definitely cost him a fair bit. As Ben makes his first stop of the Grand Prix here. Courtney Gold up to P12 and this stop from Ben moving to P11. So one place off the points himself, of course, still hunting his first point of the campaign. Ben away, hard tyres going on. And everyone's sort of spread out a fair bit now at this point. Alvar on the tail of Websy. So these three still together from their incident on the first lap. This race is flying by here. We're already on lap 9 of this thing. Grumio 1.5 seconds in front, up ahead. Card Carrot goes over the curb there. AT passing Cott now. Cott down to P10. The pole sitter has really had a tough race so far. And there's still 16 laps to go. So whether Cott struggles are over just yet, but it must be a frustrating thing to watch from inside the car. And I'm assuming it's got to be floor damage. I can't see any reason why the pace would let this down. Unless his tyres are severely worn, which of course medium tyres to get to that a fair bit earlier in this game compared to the last game. It becomes dangerously close to the inside barrier they're going through turn 23. Imrie continues to make moves. He's just managed to make it up to P7 around PJ. PJ is also one of those cars looking for first points. He's got a good chance here to stand right now. The Aston Martin currently running in P8 in 8th place, even being passed by Imrie. Matthew in there, wing change for him too. He got caught up a little bit in that scuffle at the last corner with Cott and his teammate. AT up a place as well. Cott into P9. Courtney Golden leading a train here as Curtis challenging Card Carrot going towards turn 1. Curtis makes his move to the inside. And can the veteran try and get away here with P11? As you see Matthew emerging there. That was very tight. 3 wide for a moment there on corner exit. Leaving the pit lane for Matthew, who just gets out in front. That could have been costly had he got it wrong. But good car control from everyone there to get themselves through nice and clean as Matthew now chases Courtney Goblin for that last points paying place. Having made his stop, so I should imagine we should see him on those tyres to the end. I mean, obviously things could change with a safety car, for example, because we had 2 VSCs so far as JB now being challenged by Imrie. Imrie flying on that set of hard tyres here. And he'll start to get to work on closing on Dan here. Dan is currently P4. Obviously yet to stop. A lot of cars have made stops. So much he'll lose a fair few places. The yellow flag comes out behind. And that is Cott backing off to let this sort of train through. And the frustration continues then behind the wheel for our pole sitter tonight. Who carries on in P14. He's lost an end plate too there. And Card Carrot on his tail. Grumio and Che and Pope all pitting here. Hard tyres for all 3 of them. They emerge right behind Dan, who unbelievably from P19 is leading this thing. Yet to stop, but leading regardless. Pope and Imrie now right with each other. Imrie now just about 3.5 seconds back from the leaders here. As Grumio goes flying there to the inside of Dan, a very risky part of the circuit, and Dan gets all out of shape there and going to let his teammate go. I thought for a second he wasn't going to, but Che now gets back to work on closing down his championship rival, Grumio. Imrie in P5, he's got the 4 leaders in his sights once again. Cott coming in at last. Hard tyres on, wing change for him, and Cott, who was untouchable in his final lap in qualifying, reduced to this in the Grand Prix. It's horrible sight to see. You hate to see it. I'd see that if anything comes along, you try and take advantage of. Dan in P3 as it stands. That'll move Pope back into third place as it stands right now. Imrie currently chasing Pope. Both cars on fresh on their second set of tyres. Pope's tyres obviously 4 laps fresh than Imrie's. How hard does Imrie push things? As his pace has sort of dropped off a little bit here. Not closing as much as he was. And Grumio here advancing his lead. 1.7 seconds now, lap 12 of this thing. As Dan makes his stop. But Dan here going on, likely onto medium tyres here with a good shout. To give himself a chance towards the end of the race. Yep, medium tyres onto that Dan. He is away. PJ coming behind him. PJ will drop outside of the points too, I should think. But on the freshest tyres and a good chance here to get himself up the order late on this race. So everyone minus Cottney Goblin and Card Carrot. So I meant that just Cottney Goblin now had made their stop. Cottney's still staying on those same hard tyres which he started the race on. So this train here building. Curtis in back into points in P8. Websy P9. Alvar P10. JB right on the tail of these guys. See JB get to work here, trying to make some moves on these guys on much more warm tyres than he's got. He's on his fresh hards. Going around the outside of Alvar into turn number 13. Alvar gives him a bit of cold shoulder there. JB pulling clear. And now getting to work on Websy in P9 and Curtis in P8. JB looking strong here and with a fantastic shout for points in this thing. Should the second half of the race go his way too. Down fresh mediums here, working to try and close the gap on Matthew in P6, 80 in P5. So Dan Pierce in the order up front now resuming as to how it was. But Dan the only car on medium tyres, and we'll see Cottney put onto those too at some stage. JB rumbles out the pocket, pulls to the outside of Websy. Might try and get 2 cars here, may try and outbrake Curtis on the outside. And should he clear on corner exit? He's on fresher tyres, but sensational move there from JB. Up 3 places in this lap, but it's not over yet though, because Curtis has got a good run with DRS. Here comes Websy too, up towards turn 1, 3 wide towards that first braking zone. Curtis trying to challenge JB. Websy plays it smart, but JB there looking for P8 on corner exit. Has he got it? It's still dead even towards turn 4, but JB nips in front. And there he goes then. Fantastic move there. Fantastic battle down the order for the lower points paying positions, but still fighting like it's the last lap. And JB into 8th place and pulling away here from Curtis. Fantastic battle that was. And the train still builds here. Goes back to PJ in P14. Keep an eye on this mid-pack because we could see a number of these cars try and come through and try and claim some points. Ben on fresh hard tyres. Yellow flag has caught out of the Grand Prix. He's crashed at turn 4, I think. No safety car though. No safety car. Surprisingly, we carry it as we are. Che fastest laps. He's been getting to work here. He's 1.1 seconds back from Grumio now. Pace is back for Che. We'll start to close on the driver who's won all 4 of the first 4 races this season. And looking to go 5 for 5 this season. Pope there still in 3rd. Imrie up to 4th. 85th, but it's got Matthew and Dan in his tail. And JB continues to extend that gap. Curtis and Websy fighting now for P9. Websy a good run, but not making his move towards turn 1. Not getting close enough. Alvar there in P11. Ben still up behind him in 12th. It's PJ and Cottney Goblin. Card Carrot and Reggie by himself right now. Tough race for those two so far, pace-wise. But it's Curtis who's now got to lead a train around for the next 11, 12 laps now to get himself some good points for the team. PJ there, the penalty. That'll impact his standing in the race in terms of fighting for those points. Those points belong to Curtis and Websy right now, but Alvar, PJ and Ben all looking at it. I think Alvar, the onus is with him to try and make some moves, try and close that gap up and try and get himself into the top 10 because there's no penalties in front of him. It's just PJ, Ben and Carl Carrot have penalties right now. And there we go, here, fight getting underway. Matthew, Dan and AT all going at it. Matthew gets out in front, but it's not over yet though, because both these two cars get DRS down this main straight. They get another chance. Dan goes blasting past. P5 for him. AT makes the charge, and Matthew winds up back where he started here. Almost back where he started. It outbreaks AT into 1. Holds on to 6th place, but does AT get better exit? Not quite. AT then down in P7. Websy pitting. Alvar off track there. So PJ now it's at the points, as is Ben. Both those cars around Alvar. But Alvar, of course, will have no penalty to think about. Che now right on Grimio's tail as they enter the last sector. And we are set for what could be a fantastic showdown here in the last 10 laps. Both of them have led around 7-8 laps each. And the more they fight, is there a chance that Pope gets brought back into play? Reggie and Laverge are going to lap down here. So 10 laps to go. So these two are sort of above the chaos today. So Dan then, from P19 to P5, has been quite a charge from him in this Grand Prix. He's taking advantage of all the chaos around him. Matthew P6, AT still P7. JB by himself right now, about 4 seconds to PJ and Curtis, still fighting for those points. PJ's making some moves here. Curtis pits. Of course, one of the group that had the incident on the first lap. So one last stop here for Curtis on medium tyres. What can he get with that late on? Che closing again. Can't quite close in right now. This fight could go back and forth all the way to checker flag, so keep an eye out. Che going for his next move though, and for the second time today the race lead changes hands. Sorry, for the third time today the race lead changes hands. Change the lead, and look at Pope, who's come charging up from behind. He's up there within DRS range of Grumio, and the race is now well and truly on again, with 9 laps left. This could be absolutely anyone's race here as Grumio tries to challenge against turn 1, not close enough, not by a long shot there. Imrie by himself in 4th place. Pace was there, I think, today, but I think his day's been disrupted a bit by the altercation with Cott earlier on the Grand Prix. Big lock up there into turn 1. Imrie still a few weeks removed from dropping ABS from his repertoire. Down in P5, still top 10, quite split up here. The train for the back starts with Carl Carrot. Behind him it's Curtis. Webb's also closing the gaps. These guys are medium tyres here with a bit more grip and looking for a stronger end to this Grand Prix. But from Carl Carrot, it's 14, almost 15 seconds to Alvar in 11th place. I think the points are unlikely for these three in particular who are looking at pace late on. Curtis making the pass here, going towards Webb's fastest lap, 1:30.4. As Curtis looks to outbrake Carl Carrot, the slide there from the reserve in the McLaren. But Curtis through to P12 now, and 14.5 seconds. Can he close that gap to Alvar before the end of the Grand Prix? It's a total of around 17 seconds or so to Ben in 10th place, but Alvar right now on course to take P9 potentially. So no, on course to take P10. Apologies, he's not close enough to Ben as of yet. Webbsy making the pass. Ben looking to try and push his team out of the window there. Into turn 1 yellow flag. That's Reggie backing off to allow the 3 leaders through. And those guys pulling a gap on Imrie. He's now 11.5 behind Pope. it's been these three who've been the class of the field so far today. Again, all for 3 different constructors. As Che against opens advantage up to 1.1 seconds here. Oh, sliding! Oh, losing control of the corner, around he goes! Lost control of it, did Che there. Held onto the car, avoided going into the wall. So able to still keep going here, but now finds himself 3 seconds and behind Red J here. Back from Pope and Grumio. It's now down to these two. I should think to settle the race win, unless Che can close in like Pope did. These 3 cars are all pitted on the same lap, all on the same set of tyres. Grumio looking here. Under pressure from Pope, looking to try and steal his first victory since season 17. Grumio goes deep there. Over the curb. And that could be a warning potentially. And a penalty comes in. This could be Pope's race to win potentially. Pope closing in on the reigning champion. Going down towards turn 27. It's going to be a tale of 2 champions of the series here. With 7 laps to go. And Che will be hunting them both down as he passes Red J there. Puts him a lap behind again. Pope into the lead then on the main straight. Going down towards turn 1. And the situation I think we find ourselves in. Pope then coming from 9th place in the starting grid. Pope into P1. And I'll tell you what, the season 11 champ, who I sort of downplayed a bit, truthfully in Q1, is making me come back to eat my words here because he is on a charge as AT comes into the pits behind him. AT from P7. I imagine both JB and PJ will emerge in front of him. Ben might, potentially. Curtis 14.3 behind Ben as it stands right now. Webb's making his move for P11. Closing in, DRS in play. Sorry, no DRS in play for either car here. Curtis outbreaks Webbsy by a long way there. I think Webb's trying to set him off the main straight. AT emerges then just behind Ben in P10. We'll obviously get the place back with that penalty. Unless he gets one of his own. Webbsy closing in. Again, not going for it just yet. Keeping himself in line. And Pope is starting to build an advantage here. He's almost a second clear of Grumio, who will get DRS this time. Chain now 5 seconds back. These two are putting the burners on. Pope getting to work and focusing on building a lead. Emery still by himself. Dan by himself. Matthew by himself. But JB trying to close a bit. 15 seconds back. Matthew close to Dan and JB is to Matthew. But JB with PJ in his tail there. Even with that penalty, we still want to try and get a place away from JB towards the end of this thing. ATP 9, Ben P10. It's still Curtis. Last car outside on the points. Now 12.3 behind Ben. He's getting to work. He's got 6 laps to do it. He'll have 6 laps to do it when he next crosses the line. He's got about 6.5 as it stands right now. Grumio penalty. And the track limits then catching up to the reigning champion. And Pope can breathe easy. Because this now seems as though it's his race to lose. And the last time Pope was in this spot, his wheel, this was Monaco last season. And his wheel was playing up and it cost him the race win. But he is coming back with a vengeance here. He's 1.7 in front of Grumio. And he's looking for career win number 17 in 5 laps time. He's now 2 seconds clear. I think in this race, short of a safety car, might be done and dusted. A late safety car to see everyone put on fresh soft tyres, I should think, and run those to the flag. But it's Pope's to lose now in terms of raw pace. And Che had to get to work knowing that potentially if he can try and close enough on Grumio, then there's a potential second place in it for him. He needs to close 2.5 seconds. He's lost that since he spun out. As Red J sits right on Che's tail there on corner exit. Obviously, he can't really pass him thanks to blue flags. Emery 4th. Dan in 5th. Further back here, everyone more or less keeps themselves as it stands right now. Webbsy's still chasing. PJ around JB now. And PJ's job is to try and close and gain a 3-second advantage. Emery pits in late on. Medium's going on. And that's not a free stop by any means. He's going to emerge in P6. But can he close back in on his teammate and back in on Dan? It'd be a tough ask, I should think, from where he is now. He's closer to PJ and JB here. We're very struggling on those hard tyres. He emerged in 6th. JB still there behind PJ. That's all he needs to do right now. As it stands, potentially there's a chance AT could try and nab 8th place 2 from PJ. Should he get close enough penalty-wise? He needs a bit more than that. He's on those fresh mediums, which are working nicely for him. But Curtis is 9.5 behind Ben, so he's getting there. He needs about 6 seconds more on Ben in order to get himself into the points. It's going to be a real charge in these last few laps, and Websy is equally behind him trying to take that position too. So it's all to play for then in a few parts of the racetrack in these last few laps. Imrie looking to try and charge back and take P5 back from Matthew, potentially even P4 from Dan if he can get close enough, because Dan's medium's running out too. Che is closing on Grumio with 4 laps to go. Alvar at the points there. Curtis's Hunt 8.7 behind now. He's getting closer and closer and getting to work here as Ben's hard start to fall off. But how long do Curtis's tyres have before they start to fall off too with all the pushing he's doing? Pope now 4.3 in front, building that advantage and can really chill at this stage. Doesn't need to push it too hard. He needs to get himself to the flag, and that'll be it for him. For his first win of the season, this will take him on to 35 points in the championship. It's taken to P6 without a shadow of a doubt, and put him just 2 points behind Landlord to put himself right in the hunt there in the top tier of points this season. He's in complete control here as he rounds turn number 17. Imrie now 6 seconds behind his teammate. 5.9, 5.8. He's closing by a tenth of every few seconds or so. Should give it about a minute or two, I should think, before he catches up to Matthew. As AT gets around JB there. JB's gone off circuit. JB now finds himself in P9 and falling away a little bit there from Curtis. So from Curtis, from PJ. Curtis himself is now 7 seconds back. He needs 4 more. He needs about a second a lap here. And he's getting closer and closer to Ben, who is still fighting for that first point of the season. And he's driven a race today that sees him get himself up into that position. But with that penalty, that lone penalty, which is going to cost him this rate. Curtis now 6.5 behind. Imrie is 4.5 behind Matthew. Further back, Courtney Goblin chasing Card Count. Reggie still by himself, a lap down. JB penalty there. And that may cost him a place higher in the order here. AT is safe for P7 here. He knows what he's got up his sleeve. Matthew makes the pass and Dan pits. Imrie fastest lap. So Imrie back to this, looking to try and take P4 back again. Dan for soft tyres. He's away. And was that a wing change too? Dan will emerge then with PJ and AT. AT with a chance now to try and have himself a P6 finish maybe. But Dan will be on those soft tyres and Dan comes out ahead, sorry. So Dan then safe in P6. Will he try and catch Matthew and Imrie too? I can't imagine he'll catch them both in time. Che up front needs about a second and a half more off of Grumio to get himself a second place finish. Try and gain some points on Grumio in the championship, try and gain himself just 3 points. We're going to get down to 34 in the standings. That gap will go to 40 points as of right now, unless Che can reel him in. But Pope, though, set to become the first non-Grumio winner of the season. I said, if there was going to be a race where someone was going to beat Grumio, it was going to be this one in terms of racing in the early part of the season. 2 laps to go for Pope here, and short of any major disaster, he's on course for his 17th win of his illustrious RDL career. Che, though, still needs about 2 seconds. He's falling away from Grumio now. He's got a bit of battery saved. Perhaps not as much as he would do for sort of a last lap battle. Matthew can see Imrie in his mirrors now. And he's closing that gap in. Locks up a little bit going through turn 27. Out the final corner. Not quite DRS yet on his teammate. Going down towards turn 1 again. Imrie then in complete control of things. And it's in DRS race now. Matthew, he's come closing right back in. It'll be a good points for Red Bull today to maintain their spot in 3rd place in the Constructors. Of course, a long way off of Williams and off of Haas. But Haas will get a car on the podium here. And Dan's come charging back for P19. It's been a remarkable drive for him, keeping himself out of trouble. and definitely makes up for the race last week. I should think. As Imrie makes the pass there. Matthew for P4 at long last. JB by himself. PJ by himself. PJ's going to get his first points. He's going to get his first points for season 2. 4 points going his way to join his teammate Ethan on 4. 8 points then for Aston Martin. That moves him off the bottom of the table as Curtis is now right behind. And a charge that was from 15 seconds back for Curtis is now looking like a points-paying finish for him. Ben is struggling there on those hard tyres, and Curtis is taking full advantage of that. And Ben's first point of the season is about to go drifting away as Curtis goes heavily audacious there on the outside as Pope starts his last lap up front. But Curtis makes the pass. Ben right on his tail here. Contact with the wall there. No end plate loss, but Ben moving out the way of Websy then. And Websy, and now Alvar out of nowhere. Alvar looking to try and fight for points as well. It's going to be a 3-car scrap for 10th place in the last lap. Oh, there's Ben around. Sliding the car there. Was that a puncture? The car looks to be in an odd shape. He's stuck there in the middle of the track. And the leaders are coming at him. And Pope deft there to avoid Ben, who's got a late puncture. The back right has gone for him. And Pope, despite that very late scare... Sorry, no, that was Connie Goblin going through. Apologies there. That was a remarkable save from Connie Goblin. I was completely discounted him there. But Pope... Oh! Ghosting there, but Ben is stuck in the middle of the circuit. That was heavily dangerous. That could have spelled the end of the race of Pope there. And a brief heart attack averted at the last. Yellow flag in the final sector. Pope, though, is rounding the final corner now. Take the checker flag. It's been a remarkable drive then from P9 on the starting grid. Pope will cruise the car home. Then Che out. Che's crashed. And he's been caught by Ben. Che's he's on his roof. And there goes Ben. Contact there. He's been hit from behind by Red J. Pope wins it. Grumio second. Imrie then will snatch third. And Che losing a large chunk of points there in the World Championship. What drama, what controversy late on in Saudi Arabia. Imrie will take a free third place finish there. Over the line in third. Matthew will take fourth place away. Dan in fifth. AT to sixth. PJ seventh. PJ getting 6 points now this season. JB will finish in eighth. Curtis and Alvar will round off the points. And what happened there? Che was on his roof, on his lid rather. There is no roof on a Formula 1 car, but Ben with a now puncture on I think on both the right side tyres gets to the line. A lap down, the last of the running cars there. Red J managed to get to him. And Pope nearly dealt the same pace. Wow, that was an end and a half to a Grand Prix then, but Pope wins it. And I think there'll be words then in the chat post race. Wow, that was a race and a half then as Pope survives all that. A very chaotic race, easily the most exciting all season in terms of pure adrenaline. Pope wins it then, and Grumio for the first time this season has to settle for second. Imrie then takes third place, another podium for him this season. Pope back on top, back where he's used to being. Mercedes then taking glory for the first time this season. It'll help them big time in the constructors. And Dan Pope dominate the stats there. Pope wins it, gets cleanest driver too. Dan fastest lap, in-game driver of the day, and most overtakes as well. There's your final results. Pope from Grumio and Imrie, your podium. Matthew 4th, and it's Dan in 5th. 19th to 6th, fantastic drive. 80 in 6th, and it's PJ, JB, Alvar, and Curtis, all in the top 10. In the end, Websy misses out on points, but a fantastic drive for the majority of the guys up here. Cottney P12, Carl Carrot takes 13th home. Che 14th, classified in the end. Red J P15, and it's Ben who makes the flag. Cott, EJ, and HB Cook all failing to finish in this Grand Prix. Wow, wow, wow. That was sheer chaos at the end of the Grand Prix. They'll have to have a chat with as many people as we can here. I think we've got to have a talk to Pope, who often comes in here post-race. And he knows, he there was a conversation earlier about the about whether Pope's Season 11 Championship actually exists. There's no footage of it in the race stream section of the Discord, but I think that was a champion's drive from Pope. Took full advantage of the cars around him, P9 to P1. I think he'll be thoroughly pleased with all that. And just chaos there late on in Jeddah. And we'll see if we can get a chat with anyone here after that, quite frankly, bizarre end to the race. Pope, welcome in. Congratulations, you're the first non-Grumio winner this season. And after, I downplayed you earlier today, but you have made me eat my words, mate. Fair play to you, well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. Probably the best drive I've maybe ever done. It was, just done to a T, to be honest, and avoided all the carnage. And I had the pace, I showed it in qualifying. It was just a shame that I had to start from P9, but maybe it was a blessing in disguise, who knows.
You never know, really. I mean, in terms of what happened late on in Q3, because we just caught you going slowly towards the end. So what actually happened on that final run?
Every time in practice, I couldn't get the first sector right at all. And it's that left-hander before the weird S section. I just clipped my front wing off it and got damaged, so I decided to just retire early, basically. It was heartbreaking at the time, but I couldn't care less right now.
Yeah, honestly, I don't blame you, mate. That was overall fantastic. I mean, in terms of the second stint, I wanted to ask, because you were a few seconds back from Grumio and Chen, you just started booking it and closing the gap. So was there anything particularly changed up, or was it just pushing?
Kind of just pushing. Like, I had my ERS to a strategy to an absolute T for some reason today, and obviously that really worked. And then Grumio slowed down. I'm not too sure what happened. Slowed by like 2 seconds I gained on one lap, and then when I was there and thereabouts, I felt like I was the fastest driver today, and I made that count really.
I think you've got a good claim to that. In terms of, I want to ask you, because obviously I think we were all gearing up for a fight with Grumio later on towards the end. And what was the immediate reaction to him get the penalty? Because that's a rare thing for Grumio to get a penalty in track limits.
Yeah, relief massively. As soon as I got like 2 seconds ahead, though, I actually felt pretty confident that I'd be able to keep him behind. Like I said, I had full confidence in my pace today, which helps a lot. But starting P9, I was driving with a bit of desire, quite frankly, to make up for lost time, and I wasn't too worried that he'd come back and get me. But you never know with Grumio, he's that good.
I will ask, was there a brief heart attack going into the final sector with Ben's car sort of stuck there in the middle of turn 22 and 23 in that final chicane?
Yeah, it's a shame. Like, obviously you can't get my POV like directly of it, but I ghosted right through him.
I might have, if I double check, I think I actually did get a bit of it. I might have got it on a TV angle, but I think I did get it. Yes.
Yeah, I'd have been livid because obviously my last trying attempt at a win was probably Monaco, and that's my wheel gave out. Then I was like, if this is the luck that I'm gonna get whenever I'm on track for an actual win, and it's not a win that I get after Stewards, I'd be quite gutted. But
that is true. Yes.
It's nice to win finally on track. Like P1, it's been like probably 5 seasons.
We've been waiting for it, mate.
Since, yeah, and hopefully we just keep this momentum going. I feel really good after taking a full-time seat again, so let's keep it going.
Is this the last time we see you win the season, or is there more coming? Is there a charge in the top 3 in the standings coming, perhaps? Given the confidence.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It's pushing it maybe a little bit. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the next race goes. But obviously, as I always say, the middle point, this part of the season is my favourite. I was the first ever person in RDL to win Saudi Arabia. That was it. So yes. I've always felt very, very good around the circuit. And is it Imola next? I'm not too sure.
I'll double check. I'll have a look. I know you like this one. It is Miami next. Imola's after.
Miami next. Yeah, I did well at Miami quite recently, so yeah, let's just keep expectations low, but hopefully the performance higher.
have to wait and see. Well, fair play then on the win. It's been a long time coming, but you got it done in the end. And we'll switch things over now to my other favourite commentator, Reg J, who arrives into the VC an hour and 49 minutes late. Reg J, you missed the race.
That's a
No.
yeah. It was good to do a race for a change. It's been a while. Although I think it's kind of reminded me that I probably want to be actually back in the commentary box with you, Zach, because that would have been a really good race to watch. I think chaos at the start, chaos at the end, a different winner for a change, which is good. So well done to Pope. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I woke up this morning, I didn't even know what track we were racing at, and then I saw Imri put Saudi into the chat, and then I instantly just regretted my decision because to race because I really hate this track. So yeah, didn't get any practice in, but yeah, it was still fun. It was good to drive the Aston for a change.
You're driving Stroll's Aston as well. Let's not forget that.
I certainly was, yeah. Couldn't pull off the miracles that he did yesterday, but I tried my best, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, you can't complain too much of that. I mean, I will ask, did you catch any of the late chaos in the last few laps? Did you catch any of that as you were going around?
Yeah, I did. You know, I mean, the start was quite chaotic as well. I completely forgot as well. We're doing sim damage this year. I think quite a few cars got damaged early on. I literally briefly touched, I think it was Dan in front of me, and I went straight to Amber on the left hand side of my front wing. And yeah, there was a bit of other kind of chaos throughout that first sector, but yeah, and then it was mostly just quiet after that towards the end of the race, and then yeah, it would have been on the final lap. I came into the final sector just after the quick left right chicane and onto that curved back straight, and yeah, Shay was, I don't know, his car was upside down or something, and then Ben was right in the middle of the track. I think even if I went if I fully slowed down, I think I really would have struggled to have gotten through anyway. And I don't think Imri or Matthew were that far behind either. So to be honest, I just went straight into the back of Ben at nearly full speed, which probably did everyone a favor actually, because then it meant that Ben kind of got out of the way. So don't really know what happened there. Apparently he got a puncture. So yeah, bit of a weird one. If I was Shay, I would have been absolutely gutted. And I think it was Imri that inherited the podium in the end. But yeah, overall it was fun to be back for a race. Purely more than anything, just to kind of add further numbers onto the grid. But yeah, I think for the next race we'll be back in the doing the CoCom.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. It's been over a month since the last the last New Year. I need a hit basically. Is what we're saying. Of the Red J,
yeah.
the Red J Magic.
I'll be back. Don't worry.
Sounds good. Well, fair play to you for seeing the end of the race. Obviously, obviously there was no practice there, so good job overall. And we'll come now last of all to our last place starter, but our fifth place finisher, Daniel Aaron. Welcome into the stream, mate. What was all that? That was the charge of the century, and you were leading at one stage for a split second until you pitted. So I mean, what was the secret today? I must know.
So I was one of two people I think that started on the hard tyres, which
Yes.
Definitely wasn't the right call when you look back at it, because the first stint, those hard tyres, going through all the traffic and just rubbing up against people and the wall, it just didn't help me extend that stint. So I had to try and extend the medium stint, and it just didn't work. It was yeah, a bit of a mess. So yeah, a bit annoyed that I couldn't make qualifying. I didn't do any laps before I went into the race, and I think if I did, then it might have been different. But and we could have gained points on Williams, and Che got caught out right at the end. Just quite unlucky. I was being conservative because I thought Che had P3, but yeah, unfortunately not to be.
I mean, you say you had no practice. I mean, you could have fooled me truthfully, given the pace today. I mean, I mean, obviously the late change, the soft tire, were you just running out of grip on the mediums, or was that an intentional change?
Yeah, I was running out of grip. I knew Imri was going to catch up and probably slow me back down into Matthew, and that wouldn't have done anything good for my tyres that were already on like 75%, I think. So yeah, I just pit for the softs in case I could find a way up quickly to Matthew and maybe snag what was P4 in the end. But yeah, just couldn't do it.
I'll ask you. I mean, in terms of because obviously the tire wear is up a bit this year compared to last year. How has that been adapting to that over the first 5 races?
It's been well. I mean, it's been fine. The other races, when I've actually practiced, this one was just like, yeah, just very different. I think because the walls are a lot tighter as well on sim damage, you tend to rub against them a little bit more, get a little bit more wear. I think Imri definitely suffered from that. So yeah, it's just one of those races. It's pretty annoying for Haas in general, but you know, we got a double podium at Miami last season, and there's clear challenge at the top now that Grumio has been stopped.
Well, there you go then, mate. Is it going to be too long before we see you guys at Haas take a first win? Could it come at Miami? Could it come at Miami next week? Is there a chance of that?
I hope it does, but you know, like I'm not really fussed about playing F1 as much anymore. Like I'm Le Mans Ultimate now, so yeah. And Che as well. He only goes on it on Monday as well, so he doesn't get we don't really practice for it anymore. We just sort of go in and vibe, which makes things I think a lot more enjoyable when things actually maybe don't go the way they did like today.
Fair enough. I mean, I've played a bit Le Mans Ultimate myself this week. It's all right. So I mean, I see why you guys are on it so much. Anything more to add from anyone before we cap things off? All right. Well, that sounds good. Okay, so that will do it then for tonight's coverage of the Races Driving League Season 19 Round 5 Red Jet. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Next week's race will be in Miami. That will take place on the 14th of July. Here, same time, same place in the Zach RC channel. Of course, make sure to get subscribed for more future audio content. Have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you guys at the next race. Goodbye.